Minister, last weekend, again, local sub-aqua clubs were out on a search and recovery mission in my constituency. Sadly, this is far too common in this country. And Minister, families need closure, and without remains, they can never have that. Now, these volunteers are going out in horrendous weather, doing vital work, and not only without any financial assistance, but paying the operational costs out of their own pocket, and it's just not good enough.
The Deputy is probably aware that voluntary search and rescue groups such as those referred to by the Deputy do not come under the aegis of the Department of Transport. However, I can confirm that the Department does provide an annual maintenance grant to support the search and rescue activities of voluntary search groups involved in mountain and cave rescue and community rescue boats. The grant, formerly entitled the Coastal Inshore Mountain and Cave Rescue Grant, currently provides for grant aid to current expenditure for Mountain Rescue Ireland mountain rescue teams in the Irish Cave Rescue Organisation. There are 10 mountain rescue teams, all constituent members of Mountain Rescue Ireland, and they respond to requests for emergency assistance in the upland and mountainous areas of Ireland. The Search and Rescue Dogs Association is also a member of Mountain Rescue Ireland. The Irish Cave Rescue Organisation is the body responsible for cave and abandoned mine rescues within the island of Ireland and works closely with MRI. The assistance of MRI and the ICRO in a search and rescue task is at the request of An Garda Síochána. The grant also provides funding to Community Rescue Boats Ireland, which constitutes the coastal and inshore part of the grant's title. CRBI are a nationwide group of independent voluntary rescue boats which are trained and administered by Water Safety Ireland. They are a declared resource and available to the Coast Guard to respond to emergencies in their area of responsibility. And the CRBI units operate entirely independently of mountain rescue units and are in practice a different funding stream. This grant allocation arrangement underwent a significant review in 2019, and an increase in funding to those teams was provided on foot of this review. Voluntary search groups also received funding from other government sources, including the Department of Rural and Community Development, the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sport and Media, and local authorities. Water Safety Ireland implement a VAT exemption scheme applicable to independent maritime search organisations.
Minister, your department will cover search and rescue, search and recovery on the offshore in terms of the Coast Guard, on our mountains and in our caves, and on the inshore. But when it comes to the inland waterways, you're washing your hands of it. And you're telling us, look, this is someone else's problem. Now, Minister, the last Minister in charge of sport, you may recall who that individual was, and he can give funding in relation to sub-aqua clubs, but it's only in relation to sporting activity, not in relation to search and recovery. And the reality is that the only minister that has given any support whatsoever to sub-aqua clubs in this country was Noel Dempsey. He used to be a minister for the environment here years ago when he waived the motor tax on their vehicles for search and recovery on my request to him. Nothing else has ever been provided from the state to a service and to organisations that are providing such vital supports across this country.
Thank you. And I'll just say there have been grants to a number of rescue teams, and I've a list of them here. But look, I appreciate the feedback you've given, and I'll engage with my colleagues across government, whether it's Minister for Communities or the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sport and Media on this issue. And yeah, they do provide a vital community service, as you've referenced, and I'll reflect on what you've outlined and engage with colleagues, and also reflect on what happened previously under Minister Dempsey.
Minister, can I thank you for your response, which I think is very positive. It's the first response of its type that I've received in over 15 years in this House in relation to the sub-aqua clubs. And the point I'm making is, Minister, they do provide a vital service. You know, every single community in this country, sadly, has been impacted by suicide, and where people are standing on the edge of a lake, the edge of a canal, the edge of a river waiting for the remains to be recovered. And we had a tragic situation in the Midlands a number of years ago where it took weeks for bodies to be recovered. And, you know, these volunteers are doing this out of their own pocket. They're actually funding the cost of it. They're funding not just in terms of lost time, but in terms of the fuel that is going into the craft carrying out the search and recovery. And really, we do need to give them some acknowledgement. So I thank you for your response here this morning.
Yeah, no, look, I hear what you've said, and look, and there are, and when tragic circumstances occur, and we have volunteers that front up and provide assistance to families, the state can't abandon the volunteers and the groups. And I think, look, I'll engage with my colleagues across government on this, as I've referenced at the start. Some of these groups don't specifically come under the department, but that means nothing to the groups. They want to know what the broader state is doing, and they provide a vital service. And I'll engage on this issue with my colleagues, but also reflect on what was done to support them previously.